right, so New Spain becomes Mexico. So how Mexico is going to win its independence from Spain. So, the Louisiana Purchase. In 1803, the United States had bought land from France. So, France has all of this big piece of land. The United States really wants it. They're going to pay $15 million, which is 3 cents an acre, which, think about that. That's nothing in comparison to what it is today. And it will double the size of the United States. So, for $15 million, 3 cents an acre, the United States is going to double its size. It extends from the Mississippi River all the way to the Rocky Mountains. So if you're looking at a map, and we'll show you one later, it's going to go all the way from the Mississippi to the Rocky Mountains in about Colorado. So it's a really big piece of area. Now, why would the U.S. want this gigantic piece of land? Why would they want Louisiana? Well, so the U.S. really wanted it because of something called Manifest Destiny. Manifest Destiny is this new little term going around. And Manifest Destiny is all about westward expansion, getting as much land as they possibly can for the United States. They want to be able to touch the Pacific Ocean, to go all the way from the East Coast, where we started, to the West Coast, over to California area. And so Napoleon, who is right now the Emperor of France, needed more money to fund his war against England. So right now, France and England are at war. And so the United States wants this land. They're willing to pay for it. Napoleon wants money. He doesn't need this land. And so they're going to purchase it. Napoleon will give the Louisiana Purchase to the United States in exchange for, again, that $15 million so that he can have his war against England. The Louisiana Purchase now, with it being bought by the United States, now the United States and New Spain are going to become neighbors. Remember, it used to be where the French and New Spain were neighbors. Now it's the United States and New Spain who will be neighbors. And they're going to argue specifically over a land boundary, a border between those two big countries, the United States and New Spain. The United States wanted the land north and east of the Rio Grande because, remember, of Fort St. Louis. Fort St. Louis had that French claim. And if the French sold this land, the U.S. says that it should have included part of the United States because of Fort St. Louis, or part of the Texas because of Fort St. Louis. Spain said, no, okay, Fort St. Louis didn't exist. We don't like the French, right? So Spain said, no, we should get the lands east of the Sabine River because of the Los Atos capital. Remember, Los Atos was the very first capital of Texas. It's technically on the eastern side, the Louisiana side of the Sabine River. And so Spain says that they should have all of that land because of that capital. And here's a good map of what I'm talking about here. So all of this green area is going to be Spanish territory. Spain says that they own all of this because, remember, Los Atos is right here. So they say everything east of that Sabine River because of Los Atos should also belong to them. Whereas the USA, remember, they say Fort St. Louis with the French, that should be included in their Louisiana Purchase because the French, quote unquote, owned this area. So the French, the United States, say that this area belongs to them. So you have this really big area where you have both USA and Spain claiming to own that same piece of land. And as you know, that can't work. Just like France and Spain, they both said they own Texas, but that can't work. Okay? So U.S. versus Spanish territories. We have this overlapping area right here that United States and Spain are going to fight over. They're not going to agree on it. All right. Here's that picture of Louisiana. And again, this is big, big, big Louisiana, not the state Louisiana down here, but all of this green area. So you can see it encompasses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 states in the United States. So it's a big piece of land. Again, it doubles the size of the United States basically overnight. All right, so now that they have this big piece of land, we need to have a treaty. We have that border dispute with where the U.S. begins and where Spain ends. So they're going to settle this with the Adams-Onis Treaty. This is going to happen in 1819. And so what's going to happen here is in a treaty, usually one side will get something, but they'll lose something else. The other side will get that thing, but then lose something else. So you have a give and take. Something's good, something's bad. So for this one, the United States is going to get Florida. Spain actually owns Florida at this time, but it will cede or give up its claim on Texas. So the United States gets Florida, but it gives up Texas. Spain will then get Texas, with the lands, or get Texas with lands up to the Sabine River as the border. So Spain gets that Sabine River as the border, what it is today, where it is between Louisiana and Texas. And Spain will get Texas in general. So Spain gets Texas with the Sabine River as a border, and the U.S. will get Florida, but give up Texas. So each side gets something, but then also gives something a little bit away. Spain isn't going to get that Los Aires capital because that's on the other side of the Sabine River. Here's a picture of that Adams-Onís Treaty. So as you can see, I don't know if you can exactly see my my cursor, but if you can, look at this red line. So this red line, we start over here at the Sabine River. This is that new boundary line. So you're starting to see Texas take shape. We have the Sabine River down here towards Louisiana. Then we have the Red River, which is currently our northern border. And we even starting to have a little bit of that panhandle area. So the Adams-Onís Treaty, one of the biggest things for Texas is it's really starting to take, Texas is starting to take shape with this treaty. Again, we have the U.S. states over here in the yellow. We have New Spain over here in the green. Remember that Florida is going to be given up by Spain and given to the United States as a part of the treaty. And then, of course, Spain gets the Sabine River as that border. But again, Texas is starting to take shape. We're starting to recognize some of these lines. All right, so Spain and France. Back home in Europe, this is 1807. They are fighting again. Remember, we talked about how they were going to make up. That's why the missions aren't really needed anymore. But of course, they're going to go back into war. This is not surprising at all. So France and Spain in 1807 are going to have another war. Napoleon is the new emperor of France. So he's the leader of France. And what he's going to do is he's going to conquer Spain. He's going to go into actual Spain. He's going to remove the Spanish king. He's going to say goodbye, dude, from power. And he is going to take over as the new leader. So now Napoleon is technically in charge of both France and Spain. And that is going to have huge, huge, huge impacts over in Mexico. So, and Mexico is in New Spain. We haven't reached Mexican independence yet. So what's going to happen is there's these social classes. So like these social classes are, you're born into them. You can't move. You can't change. It's based on where you're born. So like the Peninsulares over here, these are people that are living in New Spain in Mexico, but they were born in Spain. So they were born over in Spain and then moved over here to Mexico. Those guys are the very tip top, like the most influential, best off, rich people. Okay, the Peninsulares, very top. The Creoles over here, the Creoles are slightly different. They are people that are Spanish, like both of their parents are probably Peninsulares, but they are born in Mexico. Okay, so there's a difference. Peninsulares live in Mexico, but were born in Spain, the mother country. Creoles are Spanish. They're both Spanish, but they're born in Mexico. Okay, so the Peninsulares, the top people, they are the ones, obviously, that are in the government. They're the ones that are running things. And so the Peninsulares, they go in and they're going to actually take over control of Mexico about this time. So about 1807, with all of the stuff happening in France and in Spain back home, the Peninsulares are going to take advantage of that, and they're going to become in control of Mexico. Now, the Peninsulares see this, and they are going to... or the Creoles see this, and they are going to say, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to fight against Spain and against France. And so they will go and they'll be like, all right, cool. We're going to fight for independence, Mexico's independence from Spain, because all this crazy stuff is happening. If they're distracted fighting, maybe we can come in and we can take over. And that's really what they want. So the Creoles are going to begin talking about overthrowing the government from the Peninsulares. It's a little confusing. Peninsulares take over. Creoles hear about this, and the Creoles are slightly below the Peninsulares. And they're going to say, oh, maybe this is our opportunity to take control, and they will start to talk to do this. And that's going to start this Mexican Revolution. Weak control of New Spain. So revolts are happening in New Spain everywhere. I mean, it is not a good time to really be a Spanish loyalist at the time in New Spain. And so there are three big reasons why revolts are happening, why these citizens are trying to go against the government. There's three things. So they're tired of paying taxes for wars in Europe. Why would they want to pay money for something that they're not even really involved in. It's happening in Europe. It's happening across the ocean. Why do I care? So they're tired of paying taxes, paying money. They want their own government. They want a government that represents them over here in Mexico, not some, random guy thousands of miles away across an ocean controlling them. And they want to end those social class rankings. So all those social classes with the Peninsulares and the Creoles, they want that to end because there is no way for you to move outside of your class. Whatever you were born into, you have to stay. So they want to end that. They don't like that anymore. One big leader during the Spanish or the Mexican Revolution is Father Miguel Hidalgo. And he is going to be really big because he's going to give a really big speech. The speech is called the El Grito de Dolores, and it will happen on September 16th, 1810. And this speech is all about spreading equality. It's all about, rising up against these people who have shot them down all the time. It's a very inspirational speech. Now, unfortunately, Father Hidalgo is going to go and he's going to lead, all these people, and he's going to go to Mexico City at some point with, the people that are revolting. And unfortunately, he will end up being shot and killed by the Spanish troops. So he will not survive the Mexican Revolution. He will have to go away. All right. So cause and effect of Mexican independence. So there are lots of causes and effects. Not a lot of these matter. Okay. We're going to still write them down, but yes. So, first cause, widespread economic and social divisions between the rich and the poor and between European-born and American-born Spaniards in New Spain. That's a lot. So basically, the social classes, having that, very big division between those who were born here in Spain versus those who were born in New Spain. Okay, so that's a cause. The effect is that we're going to have the creation of Mexico, the new independent Mexico, as its own independent republic. So because we had those social classes, that's going to lead to Mexico being created. Another cause, political corruption in Spain. So politics, the government was not doing good things in Spain. So because of that, it will lead to the effect is the economic ruin and loss of life in Mexico, including Texas. So because we have political corruption, the government's not doing what they're supposed to in Spain. In New Spain, we're going to have a lot of economic ruin. Our money is not going to do well. A lot of loss of life. People are going to die over here in New Spain, including Texas. Another cause, examples of other revolutions, including the American Revolution and those occurring in Latin America. So at this time, it just so happens that there's also these other huge revolutions happening in other parts of the world, like the American Revolution in the 13 colonies. And so they're going to see this, and that's going to cause political instability in Mexico. People are wanting to revolt. People are trying to gain control. Some people aren't. It's going to get a little crazy. Okay, the next cause is poor communication with Spain. So because they couldn't communicate, they couldn't talk to Spain because they're super far away, thousands and thousands of miles, that's going to cause attempts to increase population by encouraging immigration from the United States and Europe. That's actually what we're going to talk about next after this. So we're going to start to increase Mexico's population by now allowing people from the United States to come into New Spain. We'll talk about that in the next unit. And then the final effect is, or cause, is drought and famine. So because we have drought, which is no rain, because we have famine, which is no food, it's going to cause efforts to increase economic development by freeing up trade with the United States and Europe. AKA, we're going to start to trade with the United States and with Europe more often. All right, so Mexican Independence Day. Mexico is officially born. Mexico will gain its independence from almost 300 years of Spanish rule on August 24th, 1821. Now, technically, though, Mexico's Independence Day, when they actually sign their constitution, is a different day. So they actually celebrate, like our July 4th is their September 16th. Okay, so they will celebrate theirs on September 16th. It was finally written, their constitution was finally written with the assistance of an American impresario, somebody we're going to have so much information about soon, Stephen F. Austin, in 1824. And Texas is now officially under Mexican rule, no longer Spanish. Agustin de Iturbide will end up being the first ruler of independent Mexico. He doesn't last very long. He wants to be a dictator, so he'll get kicked out. And how does Mexico control Texas when Texas is so far? Our new answer is empresarios.